This is the Road to the Kentucky Derby, presented by Woodford Reserve.
The Road to the Kentucky Derby, presented by Woodford Reserve, makes another important stop in the Crescent City, New Orleans, Louisiana, for the $1 million Grade 2 TwinSpires.com Louisiana Derby. Let's take a look at the headlines. Epicenter, a two-time stakes winner at the meet, looks for his third win this season in the Louisiana Derby. The only horse that he lost to, Call Me Midnight. The Lecomte upsetter returns rested and ready on Saturday. Rattle and Roll, so good as a 2-year-old, looks to take the next step in his sophomore season. And Zozo's a perfect 2 for 2 so far for Brad Cox, hopes to prove that he belongs with the upper echelon of 3-year-olds. Joe Kristufek and Scott Shapiro joining you. And Scott, the progression of these races here in Louisiana, from the Gun Runner to the Lecomte to the Risen Star, and now a mile and 3/16 in the Louisiana Derby. Great place to get a horse prepared, and the depth of the Risen Star certainly showed that. Epicenter is going to try to make it 2 in a row.
Yeah, great to be back here in New Orleans, where the forecast is awesome for Saturday, and as you mentioned, the test will be there, the mile and 3/16. Epicenter has gotten 2 of the 3 wins, as you mentioned. Call Me Midnight, the other one. Both of them are in this race. Can Epicenter be beat is the big question.
Let's take a look at the current leaderboard standings on the Road to the Kentucky Derby. This is one of 8 races offering 170 points. Basically, Scott, if you run 1-2, you're in the Kentucky Derby.
Yep, and Classic Causeway and Epicenter leading the way. Epicenter essentially already in the Kentucky Derby, regardless of how he runs in this race. Smile Happy up there at 7th, 30 points, ran 2nd in the Risen Star. We'll see him in the Bluegrass soon. Then you go to the second page here, and number of horses with 10 points, Joe, including a couple we'll see here. Rattle and Roll, Call Me Midnight, late running sorts that need to run well in the Louisiana Derby this weekend to get into the Kentucky Derby.
Again, 140, 20, 10 points in the Louisiana Derby that are up for grabs as we take a look at the field. Mile and 3/16 distance, Grade 2, $1 million TwinSpires.com Louisiana Derby, and Epicenter, Scott, the 7-5 morning line favorite.
And the deserving one at that. He's done virtually nothing wrong since arriving here in New Orleans. Got caught late in the Lecomte, but he is a 2 for 3 at the meet. He looks like he potentially could be Lone Speed again. He'll be one tough horse to beat.
Let's rewind back in time to January 22nd at the Fairgrounds, Scott. Epicenter, actually the second choice to pop a cap in the Lecomte Stakes, on the lead here, but he did a lot of dirty work.
Yeah, he had to deal with Surfer Dude early on in that race, a long shot that put pressure. Here you see him taking the lead with Pop a Cap along the inside, the aforementioned favorite. But on the far outside, here comes Call Me Midnight, who's been rested since this race. Big strides under jockey James Graham. Looks like Epicenter might get that to the wire in time, but no, just in the nick of time. It's Call Me Midnight from the clouds to get the job done for trainer Keith DeSormo.
And leading jockey James Graham, and Call Me Midnight, Scott, could have easily come back into the Risen Star. Trainer Keith DeSormo decided to take the extra time to get him ready for the Louisiana Derby. He needs pace to chase, and can he get a mile and 3/16?
Yeah, sounds like by all accounts he's training extremely well leading up to the race, and that the move to give him time off was the right move. But like you said, the question is, will he get enough pace to chase in this one? On paper, it doesn't look like it, but I think it might be a little faster pace than it looks like on paper.
A narrow defeat in the Lecomte going into the Risen Star. Epicenter looked to make amends, so to speak, but he had to face a deeper and more talented field this time around. I think the strongest Derby prep we've had so far.
I would not disagree with that at all, but to his advantage, he made the lead and they let him loose and lonely under jockey Joel Rosario. Pioneer of Medina there, the 6 horse you see chasing him. Had the opportunity to press, he opted to sit off, and that was all Epicenter needed here. Pulling away in the lane, Zandon, the 7 horse, on the outside, and there you see Smile Happy, the runner-up, finishing very well in his first start of the year, but really in the end it was Epicenter for absolute fun.
Tough to poke holes, Scott, in Epicenter's resume. He's got the connections, he's got speed, he's got rateability, he's got stamina.
There's no doubt he's one of the ones to beat right now when we look forward to the Kentucky Derby. We're talking the first Saturday in May. I think he's going to take some pressure, but the question is, will anyone pressure him in the Twin Spires Louisiana Derby?
Another question here, Scott. Can Pioneer Medina take another step forward? He's improved with every start. This next step forward is going to have to be a bigger one.
My problem is I think he's a horse that needs the front end to be at his best. He's not going to get it in here, and if he makes the Kentucky Derby, I don't think he's fast enough in there.
Another horse that needs to prove that he belongs with this class of 3-year-old. Zozos for Brad Cox, a two-time Eclipse Award-winning trainer. Only 2 starts under his belt, Scott, but he has yet to taste defeat.
His first win was workmanlike here at Fairgrounds, going 1 turn, but boy, did he take a massive step forward here, Joe. Relaxed nicely off the favorite there, Barossa, the 4 horses in second. Relaxed, finished full of run there under Florent Giroux. He's got a very high ceiling, but he definitely gets the acid test on Saturday.
Won a key race on debut at Fairgrounds, as you mentioned, sprinting, but he stretched out, got a perfect trip in this Oak Lawn allowance race. The question with him from post position number 2, what kind of trip is he going to work?
Yeah, he's had outside stalking trips, especially in that Arkansas race there. Now he draws inside the speed, which is key. The trip's going to make the race for him, and also we'll find out just how good he is.
One of the most impressive races we saw by any 2-year-old last year, Scott, was in the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland. Rattle and Roll, short stretched race here in the Breeders' Futurity. He's not supposed to do what he did, but here it is visually, and he couldn't have done it any easier.
And you couldn't have been more right, Joe, about one of the best 2-year-old races on all metrics. And here he is taking control before they turn for home. Brian Hernandez Jr. with a ton of force running by the front runners for absolute fun. Here you see him straightening them out in the lane. Unfortunately, we didn't see Rattle and Roll after this race, but he stamped himself as a major player on the road to the Kentucky Derby with this win in the Breeders' Futurity in early October.
Ken McPeak was originally going to bring Rattle and Roll to the Risen Star. Wasn't quite ready for it, so he brought Smile Happy instead. Rattle and Roll went into the Fountain of Youth, used it as a prep for the Louisiana Derby, and that's what it looked like, a prep.
Absolutely, 1 mile and a 16 with a short stretch, not Rattle and Roll's game. He hadn't raced since that effort that we just watched at Keeneland. I think it sets him up perfectly. He didn't have a very good trip that day. It was a chaotic race in general. I think it sets him up perfectly for his effort here on Saturday.
Well, Scott, we are well on our way to Kentucky Derby 148. A lot of points have been earned. Still many up for grabs, though. 8 100-point races, including the UAE Derby and the Louisiana Derby this weekend. And not only the horses earning points, the people are on Twin Spires as well.
Yes, they are. After a week off, we're back at it in the $100,000 leaderboard competition where Christopher from Minnesota still holds the lead, David in New York, and James in Kentucky stalking the pace. As you mentioned, things pick back up internationally as well here at Fairgrounds on Saturday, and then the Sunland Derby on Sunday. A $25 win bet gets you points just like the horses.
Well, Scott, we could talk about who we think the most likely winner is. This is a betting game. When the dust settles, who do you want to see in front?
Yeah, Epicenter the most likely winner without question. But like you said, Joe, this is a betting game, and I'm going to bet on Rattle and Roll taking a big step forward in his second start off the bench. Toss that Fountain of Youth. Hopefully we can get him back to that Breeders' Futurity that we showed a little bit earlier where he came from off the pace under Brian Hernandez Jr. If the pace is hot, I think Rattle and Roll will be rolling late.
Yeah, no doubt. You're looking for a fast pace with your pick, and so am I with mine. Call Me Midnight has already defeated Epicenter once. Good move by Keith DeSomro, I think, to skip the Risen Star. This horse has been training lights out in the morning. Question for him, 1 3/16, and can he put that late run to use at just the right time? The Louisiana Derby goes off as the finale on a 12-race card on Saturday, Scott. Fantastic program from top to bottom.
No doubt about it. 8 stakes races. Can't wait, Joe.
$500,000 guaranteed pot in the late pick 5. All stakes. For Scott Shapiro, I'm Joe Kristufek. Best of luck.
The road to the Kentucky Derby has been presented by Woodford Reserve.